Hi, my name is Michael Langan. I'm the head of distillery for Yellow Rose Distilling Company out of Houston, Texas. I'm going to talk a little bit today just about our process down in Houston and what we do and kind of some of the small steps and incremental steps that we've taken over time to kind of make ourselves a little bit more environmentally friendly, but also with a focus on increasing efficiency, increasing production and throughput, and helping our business to grow while also helping the planet. So a little bit about myself. I've been in the spirits world now for about 10 years, previously with Sonoma Distilling Company and here with Yellow Rose for about 3.5 years now. And prior to that was in the world of craft beer out in California. So, a lot of times one of the big issues we have when we're running a production facility is how do we pay for all this stuff? How do we get some investment into getting the right equipment and doing the right things? And a lot of times what I have found, in the process now of building and rebuilding several distilleries is like, doing it just for sustainability's sake is going to be a very tall order because it always looks like it costs way too much money for what you're going to get back. And so what we've had, better success with is looking at the situation. And is this a little bit better? Sorry about that. And finding ways to leverage. Like, okay, well, we need to increase capacity. We need to increase scale. We need to go faster. Well, what are some of the things that we can do to use less resources, make better use of the things that we're buying, and keep that going. So basically what I'm going to look at here is we had, over the last 3 years, basically 4 core problems to look at and try to solve at Yellow Rose. One of them was capacity, just making more things. Another one was what I call cold, water, and hot, and basically kind of the core processes and sort of driving engines inside of the business. So the first problem we had is we just weren't making enough stuff. And realistically speaking, we had to find a way to leverage and make more things because we had a pretty small space and we couldn't really go up or out. We were very fortunate. We were able to find a partner distillery in Houston that we could work with basically to buy some of their capacity, have them make a portion of our recipe for us, and then focus on the true craft of the spirit run on our end, and was able to allow us to basically do a 5x improvement in capacity with no real investment in sort of materials, just making a new partnership with our partner distillery. So, and I think one of the things that we saw very early on is, we were used to being a lot of very small barrels, which sounded great in the beginning of the business, but became very unsustainable very quickly just because a small barrel and a large barrel cost just about the same amount of money. But a small barrel uses a lot more trees, requires a lot more handling, a lot more gas to move around. There was just a lot that went into it that just didn't make long-term sense. So some of the benefits that we were able to get out is obviously we increased our scale very rapidly. We were also basically able to get it into larger, more efficient equipment because our partner distillery just had bigger stills, they had bigger boilers, they had things that just made more sense. And then, we're able to get out of small barrels. And that was a very critical step for us. And it was one that, in the long term pays massive ROI just because that barrel that we age in says it costs the same, we get 4 times as much liquid coming out. And this is just a picture of our little operation here in Houston. So that is our 650-gallon still. This year we'll produce about 1,100 barrels from that facility. So the second problem we had was, okay, we have some capacity now, we're doing things, but our process was very slow. It was shoestring together, it was relatively inefficient, it worked just about as well as it could, but a spirit run was taking the better part of 12 hours, which was just too long for just one person to sit through, so we have multiple shifts, a lot of labor costs, so okay, we have to fix this. So what we went ahead and did is we made an investment in our chilling capacity. There's basically 2 ways to go faster. You can get the liquid to cool down faster, so you can run a little bit faster, and you can add a little bit more heat to the front end to just make it run faster. If you don't have the breaks of cold, there's really no sense in making it hotter because you go from having a liquid to having a vapor, and then you don't have any whiskey at all, you just have hot air. But what we were basically able to do was we were able to cut 2 hours off of our distillation time, which was massive. It basically took the distillation into a scale that one shift could run. So we were able to use our time and our individuals better and focus on other parts of the business to help it keep growing. And this is what it actually looked like in terms of equipment. So that small air conditioning looking unit on the top, which was actually a repurposed air conditioner that used to chill down our whiskey as it was coming off the still, we expanded into this much larger custom-built chilling apparatus that utilizes a chiller, a heat exchanger, and a cold water loop from what's called a cold liquor tank. And the advantage of this is we just keep using the same water over and over and over and over again. We're not sending any water down the drain with this system. And this was a relatively small one, but as we kept growing, we got more capacity. Suddenly the little pieces of equipment that worked well in the beginning started breaking quite frequently. So that picture on the top was our little reverse osmosis machine that we would use to basically clean up and purify our water to add it to our whiskey for proofing and batching. And after we broke the second one in a row, we said, well, I think we need to go ahead and make the investment and get one of these things that's a little bit bigger, goes faster. But also, as you get into better technology and better scale, the waste on these machines goes down dramatically. So where it might have taken 4 gallons to make 1 gallon before, we're using less than 1 gallon to make a gallon of water now. And then the last problem we solved was this issue of hot. So basically, making the still go faster by making it bigger on the boiler side. We had one of these lovely boilers when the initial partner came in to look at installing. They go, "You have one of these? I didn't know they allowed you to have these anymore." It was an open flame burner. It was very inefficient. It either turned off or it turned on, and it used a lot of gas. The boiler we have today is basically, it has a ramjet flame in it. It has a 4-to-1 turn down ratio, which means that even if the load drops low, it enters a sort of standby mode where it burns fuel very economically, and then when it needs to ramp up, it kicks on, but then drops back down when it achieves its load. So with this, we were able to shave 2 more hours off our distillation, so back down into basically an 8-hour day, so where we have one operator very comfortably running the still, and it allows us to actually now double our capacity because we can add a second shift without having to add 2 or 3 shifts of people. And that's everything. Thank you.